Growing up in Southern California, Kelly Tomlinson Pollack took an early interest in all things glamorous. After completing a bachelor's degree in communications, she went straight to work for burlesque legend Dita Von Teese. In 2010, she was hired to work at the prestigious Starworks Artists agency, which represented the best of the best in the beauty industry at the time. She spent the next few years honing her skills as an agent and developing a sharp eye for talent. Kelly quickly discovered that she had the natural ability to lead and an innate sense of what would make an artist successful in an industry that requires meticulous management of details and high-profile relationships. In the fall of 2013, Kelly and her soon-to-be husband, Benjamin Pollack, a graduate of the American Film Institute, launched Tomlinson Management Group, representing a handful of hairstylists, makeup artists, and wardrobe stylists. Today, it is a multi-million-dollar corporation with a reputation as one of the most respected agencies for freelance beauty artists, offering artists a personalized management experience unrivaled in the industry. Kelly currently resides in Malibu, California, with Benjamin, their 4-year-old son, Bryce, and 2 Shih Tzus, Monty and Max. Hey, Kelly, welcome to the Volume Up podcast. We are thrilled to have you here. How's it going?
I'm great and super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We love it. No. Thank you for being here. All right, let's do it. For those who are maybe not aware, let's talk about the beginnings. How did you get into the talent management industry and then specific to salon professional as it intersects? Let's get into that.
Sure. Specifically talent management and all that, it wasn't anything I ever set out to do. I didn't know that you could represent hairstylists and makeup artists. So I was happy that I kind of fell into it. But to back up a little bit, I went to college. I got a degree in communications with an emphasis in entertainment studies. And then when I finished that, I ended up interning for Dita Von Teese, who obviously is, the height of beauty and glamour and fashion.
Icon. Let's be clear.
That was a dream.
Wow.
Yeah. Icon. Yes, my hair. I would just, love that whole world. So, for me, it was, kind of combining my passion with, like hair and makeup and fashion and, the costumes of all that. And, really like the world of glamour. And then being able to combine the professional side of it too. And so I got to help work with her stage props and work behind the scenes and help do like the guest list for her shows and work with her management team. So that was awesome. And then from there, I was introduced to the people who would become my bosses when I got hired at Starworks, which was, a big management group at the time.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah. So, I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't know anything about anything. Like I said, I didn't know you could even rep hair and makeup. So when I heard that, they needed an assistant, I was like, yes, please. And that was, of course, because of the relationships I'd made doing the interning. So luckily I got the job and, just very quickly discovered that it was something that I loved. Again, being able to be involved in something so fabulous as, Hollywood and red carpets and magazine covers and press junkets and just like, I didn't come from anywhere exciting. So being able to be a part of that was my dream. So, it kind of just all happened, but in hindsight, that's kind of where I was always headed. I just didn't know that it would all come together in such a wonderful way. So that is how I got started. And,
this is so fascinating. We don't often have folks like yourself on the podcast. It's generally salon professionals themselves. So hearing about this way into our industry is totally fascinating, I gotta say. And really interesting to hear how it sort of like developed for you as
all kind of weaved itself together. Yes. Yeah. Beginning with a passion for, hair and makeup and everything else, which I didn't want to do it. I like doing my own hair and makeup and looking good, but having that as a career and doing it for other people wasn't anything that I wanted to do.
Not in the cards. No, I understand that. Certainly that's true for myself, but we can appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about mentorship along the way. Mentorship is a huge topic for the salon professional industry. Oftentimes our guests say that like such and such was so instrumental in helping to push me to XYZ. Did you have mentors along the way? Did you find that was important for your own professional journey?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was ever like one person that's like seen me through from, high school, college, all the way until now. I've been lucky to have a variety of people that have been very supportive, along the way. Like, when I was working with Dita, her manager allowed me to kind of like come on and like shadow her in her company. And, I just got to observe. I've just made a habit of just like wanting to place myself in those types of situations and being able to just observe how people are, and be like, oh, that's an option. Like I could do that if I wanted to, So there was that. And I, learned a lot from, my bosses at Starworks. And, luckily a lot of the big talented hair and makeup people that were there were very supportive and, took me under their wing, as, someone they saw as a future agent with potential, and kind of gave me a lot of advice and helped me develop relationships with people that would be instrumental in my career. And then, of course, my husband, Benjamin, who I later started my own company with, when we met, he had a ton of experience running companies and really was someone to encourage me to branch out and do my own thing ultimately. So yes, there have been a lot of different people that have been very supportive, and I've been very lucky in that way.
Oh, we love to hear that. But let's talk about what you literally just said, which is you went out on your own and you've created your own company, which is a huge thing. So congratulations, firstly. And you've been successful. So let's talk about this. Sure. When did you make the decision to go it out on your own?
Well, I had always thought that entrepreneurship was interesting and that ultimately I would hope one day I would be able to have my own company. I thought it was very cool. So that was always in the back of my mind, but I always assumed that was something I would have to do later, like I need to have X amount of years of experience or no one will take me seriously, or, that whole thing. So I started at Starworks in 2010. And by the end of 2013, it really had become apparent to me that I didn't feel like I was growing. And it was that moment of like, I don't know what my next level is here. Like, I don't really see it. I'm not seeing a future where I want to be. And I wanted to be able to call the shots. I wanted to decide who I could work with and who I could sign and not have that be dictated by anybody else. I was 26 and I liked to be the boss. So I had met Benjamin Pollack, my husband now. He was my boyfriend at the time. And we just kind of decided that it was time, it was kind of like a now or never, like, I could keep doing this and be not very happy and feel like I'm building somebody else's dream, or I could take a chance.
Take a chance and build your own dream, which you've done. Exactly. So let's talk about that though. We've had a couple of guests on the podcast who have worked with their significant other. And by and large, they've all said really great things. My significant other is a physician, so like we would never be able to work together because I'm not myself.
Unless you interviewed him.
I was going to say all of a sudden. But talk to us about this. I mean, what are the pros of working with your significant other? I would imagine there might be some cons, but it seems like they're going well.
He set up the lighting for this shoot right here. So
all right, so he's a keeper.
Yeah, he knows how to make me look good. So he also graduated from AFI. So yeah, and filmmaking and all that good stuff. So it's a great pro. We we have the same vision. We want the same thing. And luckily, because we're married and we have a kid and all of that, like everything we do is collectively for the greater good of this company and for our family. So, he's incredibly smart. He's incredibly supportive. I have, a wonderful partner, and I'm very lucky for that. So, there's a million pros, and I really can't think of any downsides to it, especially coming through the pandemic and, having, somebody to stand with the whole time and, be strong through the whole thing. And, I tried to really think like, are there good and bad and this and that? And I mean, of course, there's always like days when it's tough and days when it feels imbalanced because, we're putting everything into, this company, but just to have somebody to bounce things off of, we always have been lucky that we're always on the same page. And, when it comes to hiring people and firing people and who to sign and this and that, we have a lot of respect for each other, which makes it just a joy and a pleasure to get to do this every day.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that for you guys. That is what we want to hear from everybody. So we'll take it. But talk to us a little bit about separating work from home life. Is it possible? And I don't mean this in a gendered way, because to be clear, like there's all sorts of things that are happening all the time. But when you're married to a partner in business and you're, working all the time, not all the time, how are you guys doing in terms of separating, or is there no separation?
Well, I think the separation of it comes down to, like, we have our son. So there's always the moments when, like, okay, well, it's time to get him ready for school. So for the next hour, we're mom and dad, and we have to get him out the door and get him out to school. So there's that. I think it's just that the business is a part of your life. So, there's that. And sometimes that needs more attention. And sometimes, like, it's the holidays or, whatever. It's, it doesn't need as much attention because it's, doing its own thing at the moment. So, I don't feel like we ever have to specifically work to be lit. Of course we try to get away when we can, but again, that exhaustion comes down more to being parents than running a company, because, ultimately, I would say you want to, if you're gonna work with somebody that you're in a relationship with, you have to have a really solid foundation. And we love what we do. We love working together. We, really have never had any arguments about how the company is going to go, because, we just want to root each other on every chance we get. So the separation has to come down to when we're being mom and dad.
I feel that.
But also running an agency, I feel like we had a lot of experience being mom and dad, because, representing all the artists, you have, 25 to 30, kids we're looking out for that we want to take care of and make sure everybody's happy in that way anyway. So we're used to being that team.
I like that bit of perspective.
So having one kid is like easy,
a dream, no big deal. All right. So related to you and your conversation earlier around, or commentary, entrepreneurship, sort of seeing that in the works for yourself, determining like when was the right time, is it the right time, having some backstopping from your partner to go ahead and do it. What advice do you have for anyone who's thinking about maybe jumping into doing something for themselves, whether they're thinking about becoming a salon owner, they want to become an independent stylist and go it alone and take on freelance client? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Well, just do it. So no one's going to come along and say, like, now is the time. You are ready now. Like, you have to choose yourself. You can't wait for somebody to choose you. I was very insecure about my age. I was 26, and like I said, I'm like, nobody's gonna take me seriously. Like, what would they even think I knew? But I guess I knew a lot, because, here we are. And, I got a lot of good feedback from people. People had enjoyed working with me up until that point. And, I mean, the ultimate advice is, just do it. Because what's the worst that could happen? You'll be redirected. I don't believe that you're gonna, win or lose or pass or fail. It's just a new direction, and you can always change your course at any point. So if there's something you want, there's no point in not going after it, because what's the alternative? Not doing it? That doesn't sound like any fun. I think you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what you can accomplish if you just try. Just get out there. Just take the chance.
Take the chance. I love that. What's something that you've learned along the way that you maybe wished you knew when you were starting out on your own at 26?
I think that's kind of what I said earlier, which was just that you have to choose yourself. You have to and nothing's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like, when you're 26 in general, or just, at any point, and again, like with this business specifically, it is very high profile people and very high stakes events, the Oscars and Fashion Week, and like everything has to go perfectly all the time. But like, at the end of the day, like, you know what's something I wish I knew is that everybody that I've met working in this business is like just a normal person, just like me. It's not like anybody's like that special or like spectacularly smarter than me, or I always had the habit of assuming that everybody knew more than me, or it was like so much better than I was at doing anything. And the truth is, it's not that exciting. I mean,
it's not that exciting. They're all people.
It is that exciting. It's a lot of fun, but like it's not that deep, just like it's better to just get in there and do it and become part of it and assimilate and get to know those people and learn that like nobody's that special is what I mean. Nobody's like so much more special than you that you couldn't do it too.
That is, I think, a little bit more empowering. I like that redirect. But no, you're absolutely right. And I think you're doing an excellent job for our listeners of demystifying what this process looks like, because some of our salon pros are not at the point where they are, doing a fashion week yet, or that they are working with celeb clientele. And this is sort of breaking down, like, how does that even happen? Which we're going to get to in depth.
Yeah,
in a moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Happy to answer that.
So before we do that, talk to us a little bit about what you want to do with the company. You represent some bigwigs and we're thrilled for you. But like vision, where do you see yourself? What are we expecting from?
I think like world domination.
Yes. I want that for you. We'll take it. Yep.
Yeah, no, truthfully, I'm very lucky to be in the position that I'm in. We have a great roster of people. Definitely making it through the pandemic has been a feat in and of itself. So the fact that we're still here, not every agency is still here. A lot have come and gone, not just because of the pandemic, but because of, how difficult it is to run your own company. Like, it's not a walk in the park all the time. So the fact that we're still here, we still have a massive roster of wonderful, fabulous, talented people that I'm very proud of in and of itself. So from here, we're on track to do, a year similar to what we did in 2019. So for me, that's huge to, feel like we're back on track is huge. So from here, it's, I always have an eye out of, who's the next big thing? What can we do? How can we expand? I'm always open to expanding, hiring more people, bringing on, another agent would be a possibility. So it's kind of anything and everything at this moment, just I'm always, looking at what's next and how can we be bigger? How can we grow? And, you can't force it either. In my experience, it's all kind of like naturally evolved over time as I learn more and, learn how to run a bigger and bigger company, things kind of naturally begin to grow.
Well, we cannot wait to see where you're headed. We know that it's going to be the biggest things for you and for your clientele. But let's talk about that. How do people get on your radar, period, end of story? How are you finding the next big thing? Sure. Where does somebody even start to become discovered?
Well, if you're just starting out and you're brand new, you have, no contacts, maybe you're working in a salon or something like that. It depends on what you want to do. So I can only speak to, what I do in my experience. So, my agency does a lot of celebrity. We do a lot of editorial work, e-com, advertising. If those are the worlds that you want to be in, you need to find a way to place yourself in those worlds in front of those people. So first you want to, be in LA, obviously, if you want to work somewhere here. I get a lot of people that, I live in Georgia, but like, how can you represent me? I'm like, that doesn't, like, I'm sure there's great agencies out there, or maybe there's not, but if you want to do the celebrity, you have to plant yourself where the bulk of the work happens, A. And then B, there's, the way that you kind of begin to grow and establish yourself is by assisting, is what I would recommend. So, reach out to the artists you admire. And, again, going back to like demystifying a little bit, like, you'd be surprised how difficult it is to find great people, assistants that will show up and be on time and be enthusiastic and not try to be in everybody's face. You get people that show, so it's like, just be like a normal human being.
Step one.
Be cool, Yeah, exactly. So like, offering, your assisting services to, people that you admire. You know, it seems tougher than it is. I mean, that's how I started working for Dita Von Teese. I literally emailed her fan club and asked if I could work for her for free because I needed to intern after college. And I got a yes, which, you know, at the time I'm like, that's so dumb. Like, nobody's going to read that. Like, why would anyone
but
take me seriously?
Somebody did.
Yeah, but they did. So like, you never know, like it may feel very intimidating. Like, oh, these people must have 1 million assistants and they, you know, like maybe they don't, you know? And I think the more specific you can be, you know, if you're reaching out to somebody that, you know, I really like your work, I'd love to learn from you, because assisting isn't just like you're giving to them. Like assisting is that you're going to learn so much, you know, about being on set. You're going to, you know, techniques, set etiquette, watch the way they behave around their clients, and, you know, just observe. Like that is priceless, you know, the valuable time you would get doing any of that. So I would recommend targeting people that you admire and asking if you can assist them.
Okay.
You know?
So what do you then look for when you're looking at talent to sign? You want to build out your roster.
Sure.
What are the things that are coming to mind for you to strongly consider someone?
Well, I mean, I feel like having a solid portfolio, you know, having clients you're already working with. Like I'm not in a position where I'm just signing somebody that's fresh out of beauty school that has no,
good to know,
you know, content. Yes. Yeah. That's why you need to, you know, spend the time, you know, getting the experience, all of that. So, well, you know, when it's time for me to start considering signing somebody, I mean, honestly, genuinely, my biggest criteria is that you're a nice person, not people want to hang out with you because that's who people book, you know. We're talking about celebrities on press junkets, you're going on press tours, you're traveling the world, like people book people that they want to hang out with. So being talented and knowing how to do hair and makeup is kind of beside the point. You have to be able to do all of those things. But I find that the people that get the jobs the most of the time are the ones that people want to spend time with, you know? So that's a big part of it. So that means a lot of my clients I end up signing come as recommendations from people that are already on the roster, which again is why you want to start getting in with people. You know, if there's an agency that you want to be signed with, you want to start being a part of that group of people. So getting in and assisting them, or, you know, just checking in every now and again. Like I said, it's not like I have a lot of room to be able to sign somebody that doesn't have much of a book at all. But as you're building your book, as you're testing, you're reaching out to photographers, you're getting new images. Maybe you had a breakthrough and you did something really cool, or you got to do somebody for a red carpet. Like sending an agent, you know, some checking in, asking the agent if you can be on their assisting roster is also a great way to start getting attention. Like there's people that I had known about for years, like they assisted this and then they assisted this artist on the roster, and then that person loved them, and then because I knew that person loved them, then somebody else needs an assistant, so I'm going to say, oh, that person is great, I'm going to call them and, you know, recommend them here. So that's kind of how I've seen it work when you're really starting out. You know, you kind of build it that way, you make yourself indispensable, you say yes to everything, and, you know, see where it gets you. So, you know, and then you like, again, like when it comes to being signed at, you know, my agency specifically, like, yes, you have to have a book, you have to have a portfolio. I want to see red carpet images, you know, and sometimes the best way to get those in the beginning is you're also going to have to maintain your own relationships with publicists and managers. And, you know, you have to be putting yourself out there all the time. So it's building those relationships. It's emailing them. How can I help you? What can I do? Who do you have? Is there somebody doing, you know, a spec shoot that you can get in and meet them? Because oftentimes just the act of being there and, you know, showing up and making them look great, like that's how people start to talk about you and hire you again.
These are hard truths, important things to be said. I feel like, again, I'm learning a lot. I would imagine that our audience that's interested in potentially being represented by an agency like yourself would be remiss not to be paying attention and taking some notes on this stuff. This is some insider info that we are very appreciative of. So, okay, if they get to the point of they are represented by an agent like yourself, what does successful representation look like? How do they maintain How do they build a career once they're signed?
The agent and artist relationship is a very special one. And the way it works the best is when both are participating in it and, see it as a partnership. Make a call and put you there. Sometimes I can. I've had a lot of success. You never know unless you ask. So oftentimes I have had success. People tell me they want to work with someone and I make that connection and it works. Other times it doesn't. So you have to have realistic expectations about, your agent is not a magician. Like I can't control the flow of jobs or, the industry or all of that. Yeah. So, I've had experience where it's like, well, I'd really like to be working more. I'm like, well, I would like you to be working more too.
Yeah. Let's be clear.
Yeah. So it's a dance. It's, treating your agent like a human is an important thing too, because, they're not a machine. There's somebody who's on your team who wants you to succeed. So as long as we, show up together and, I use my resources to get you as far as I can. And I also manage your resources that you have, when everybody wants to work together, it can be a beautiful thing. And also just being willing to do something is the biggest thing, like I've had a lot of people have a lot of luck in their careers, like flying themselves to the Toronto Film Festival, like those types of things. Like that's advice I would give if you're looking to build your career, put yourself where people are going to need hair and makeup, and if you're flying to Toronto, a lot of times there's a lot of celebrities that go there and the studios maybe can't afford to fly out their big people. So you have a great chance at getting in on maybe a bigger name you wouldn't be able to in LA because they have more people to choose from, So ones that succeed are the ones that have a good attitude, that are willing to go anywhere and everywhere and have a real passion for what they do, because you can really get caught up in a lot of the nonsense and a lot of the politics that come with this job, because there's a lot of it. So,
there is, but you work with nice people. So that's how you
I do work with nice people, but you still deal with the day-to-day of, there is the rejection, and you book that job and you thought you did great, but then they use somebody else on the next time. And, like sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. Like, it's about like holding on loosely to what you're doing, because if you expect to like own a person, or you're going to do everything with them, or how dare they, or I'm never going to work with you again, like you're going to end up not working with anybody.
That's so well put. The holding on loosely thing, I think, is applicable for so many different people too, in all sorts of aspects. So taking that one, filing that one away. Kelly, if someone, hairstylist, makeup artist, is interested in maybe doing a dance with you, as you put it, how do they find you? Where can they go? How do they get on your radar?
Find me. I would say the most common way is that they're recommended to me by somebody that's already on the roster. Sure. If you have somebody that's putting in a good word for you, that's worth more than anything. Exactly. Because if you know somebody that, that makes a lot of sense. But if you really don't know anybody, and again, that I would encourage people to, assist people. You can email us and, get on our assistant roster too. That's what I would encourage people that are building their careers to do that with all agencies, just because you never know, because, you could email me and I could literally be in a desperate spot that day where I need an assistant, and you just emailed me and like, you're in.
Let's do it.
Stranger things have happened, like it's about finding a way to be consistent without being annoying, which is a fine dance. So, it's more, you're allowed to say hello, you're allowed to introduce yourself and check in, and if you have something new and cool you want to show somebody, if you are going to have somebody's eyes on an email you're sending, make sure that you're sending it, make sure there's a point to why you're sending it. Like, sometimes people will just email asking, how do I get repped? I'm like, I don't really have a lot of time to go back and forth with people that I don't know about how you get repped. I guess they could listen right now because this is how you get repped.
Refer to this C-link. Download, please.
Exactly. And I mean, in general, like, again, like the entertainment industry and so many industries are relationship based. People work with people they know, people know who they like, people are willing to take a recommendation from somebody that they have already met and know and liked. So the more you can just make yourself a part of whatever it is you're trying to get involved in, ultimately that is the way to go. And it can take a while, it doesn't happen overnight. I think a lot of people are like, well, I've been assisting for 3 months, or the same with, building a relationship with an agent, like, oh, well, I've been here for 2 months and I don't feel like, it's like, well, these things take time. Like, if people don't know who you are, people need to know who you are. And the only way to do that is to be there and say yes, because I feel like the most life-changing opportunities usually come up like right now. So-and-so lost their hair for tomorrow and you're the only person that's available. So here you go. And, just be ready and willing to do anything and everything to make it work. Yeah. So if you want it, you'll figure it out and you'll be there.
All right. Well, Kelly, there's been some incredible gems here. I'm inviting everybody to rewind a couple of times and take the notes that they need. But we've got to do our quick takes. We are going to ask you the questions we ask all of our guests. These are things, free association. Don't think about it for too long. But you've already said a lot of things that I think would fit for some of these questions later on. So, first up. Yeah, exactly. Basically. First up is, what is a quote that you love? And I'm not looking for like a live, learn, love, whatever kind of thing. It's like what's a mantra, a motto that like gets you through the day?
One that I always go back to is a Cher quote, because she's my hero. But she said and this is, I'm paraphrasing here, but I used to watch the DVD of her farewell tour all the time. And she said something along the lines of, do everything you can do now. And you can always look back and go, I shouldn't have done that, but just do it. Perfect. And if Cher said it, then it's gotta be gold. Yeah.
Oh my God. So good. All right. What is the last thing that you Googled?
Oh my God. Probably something about a mosquito bite.
Mosquitoes are everywhere right now.
Sorry. Of like, is it normal to, I don't know, my husband, we live in Malibu, so we're outside and there's bugs everywhere. And, I can't think of anything glamorous. So it was definitely mosquito bite related.
That's fair. That feels right. Okay. So on this podcast, we are often talking with hairstylists. They often reflect about things that they've done over the years, trends that they've done for clients. Is there a specific beauty or hair trend that you've tried that looking back, you're just like, why? And it gives you the cringe?
No, because I don't really do trends. I don't. Okay. I'm a classic red lip, cat eye. Like, I've never veered from that. And why would you need to?
You heard it here. I mean, coming through with some real gems. I'm obsessed with this. Okay. We talked about this. You are running an agency with your significant other. You've got a small child. Is there anything that you would change about your daily routine if you could? If the stars aligned and you could make this happen, would you change something out?
Yes, I would exercise more. It is very difficult to find the time to do that. And, I know how good that is for productivity and mental health and all of that. So I'm doing the best I can. But if I could add just an extra hour to my day, that's what I would do.
I feel you deeply. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and same thing. God. Going like sleeping happens whether I want it or not.
Yeah,
sleeping would be great. It's like, but finding the time to exercise, like
time. Yeah, it's non-existent. But what are you gonna do? This is the life we chose.
Exactly. Okay. What is an animal that you're maybe most like?
Definitely a leopard. because they're glamorous and chic and elegant, and who doesn't love like
Yes.
leopard print anything, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing it. This is perfect. Yes, seeing it.
Same.
Yep. We are product junkies on this podcast. So what is a product that you could not live without? It could be hair, beauty, wellness. We'll take it all.
100% chlorine dry shampoo. And I think any mom would agree, because how often am I really getting to do my hair? Not often.
Perfect answer. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you've given a lot of advice throughout this podcast, and we are incredibly appreciative. But just like, let's top line it. If somebody wants to make it to the top of whatever industry that they're at, like yourself, how do they do it? What's a few words of wisdom?
I mean, it all comes back to believing in yourself. I mean, it's that age-old adage of, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So, for me, like I said, I didn't come from anywhere special. I didn't have any connections or anything. I just decided that that's the direction I wanted to go in, and that's where I went. And things unfolded, and I met people along the way, and being able to see opportunities and take them, because a lot of the times, I've presented opportunities to people and they don't take them for whatever reason. So if you don't take the opportunity, somebody else will. So are you going to be in it or not? And if you're going to be in it, then be in it. And you would be surprised, I think, how wonderful that can be.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm wonderfully surprised by this conversation. I've enjoyed it so much. I feel like I've learned a tremendous amount about talent management, having done some of this stuff on the back end, not ever going into it in depth. And I just, wow, I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope that our listeners have as well. Thank you for your time. And we can't wait to see how, the group expands as you've been talking about.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful, and I'm happy to share some experience, because I hope somebody somewhere, takes something away from it today.
And they will for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.